Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and I bet you know where we are. We are down here in the illustrious studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. Alrighty, folks, alrighty. Look, I love whenever I get to have a variety of people come through. If you guys have been following, which I know you do, you follow every single week. So many of you tune in every Monday. You send me messages. I love that. You know that we've had a really good stretch of a variety of people. Well, this week's guest is somebody very special. I met them at a Hope Center event. As you guys know that follow me as well, I'm a part of the Hope Center, which is a mentorship program for kids 6th grade through 12th grade. I love that. I'm so blessed to be a part of that. And I met this individual and I'm like, wow, he's got fire. He's got motivation. He's got love for people. He's here for the right reasons. I got to have you on my show. And he agreed. His name is Mr. Rodney Hall. He is a representative from Mississippi in House District 20. He's also an Army veteran. We're going to get to know all about him, everything that he has that brought him to where he's at today and what he has going on for the future. I know you guys do not want to miss this, so sit tight, hold on, go to my YouTube, subscribe real quick, motivatewithcoachcamp.com, and a quick word from my sponsors. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to have a quick second to let you guys know how much it means to me that you are my sponsor. SRP Studios, The Real Hernando, The Rhythm Section, Hardwick, Heating, Cooling, and Air Quality, Estes Grading, Hodge Homes, Adair Honey Farm, Miss Hippie Eats, Phones R Us, Ross Sod Farms and Landscaping, Ivy Rain Women's Clinic, Tonic POS, Battalion, and Coffee Central. Thank you guys so much for being a sponsor. If you'd like to be a sponsor, go to my website now, motivatewithcoachcamp.com, and click on the button. Thank you. Welcome back. All right, here we are, Mr. Rodney Hall. Thank you, sir, for coming down to the studio today.
Coach Camp, it's good to be with you again.
Man, I love it. Dude, the first time we met, I was like, I don't know this guy, but I feel like I've known him my whole life.
Yeah, well, it was tough to follow you up. I had the opportunity of speaking right behind you, but you brought the fire. And that motivated me too. Okay. And I think we feed off of each other, so that's always a good thing.
That is so true. I've always said this, negativity breeds negativity. Well, guess what positivity breeds?
Amen.
Positivity.
Oh, yes, it
does. And so whenever you get that kind of people into the same room with the same mindset, the same heart, the same direction, man, miracles can happen is what I say.
Absolutely. It's about community.
It is. So look, I've already mentioned, I did a little teaser here so that you are the representative from Mississippi House District 20.
Yes.
I also know that you are 20 plus years as a battalion commander now in the United States Mississippi Army National Guard.
That is correct.
It's a lot of words for a person from Mississippi. Get my mouth all titled. So I want to make sure I got that right. You started out as a mechanized infantry?
No. So it's funny. I enlisted when I was 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
Right in high school. I was a senior in high school. My dad was my recruiter.
Really?
Yep. My dad, wow. He had to sign 2 places on my contract. The DA, I think it's the 4-1, one as my recruiter and then one as the waiver because I was under the age of 18.
How about that?
But when I enlisted at 17. I went to the 220th Group, Special Forces down in Jackson, and I was a code linguist.
Linguist.
Yeah. Now, what is that?
Like Morse code?
I learned Morse code.
How about
you're
that?
Smart, Coach.
Well, I was in the military. Yeah. So it's I got a little bit. I wasn't like you. Yeah.
Well, me as a 17-year-old, I mean, who does Morse code, right?
Yeah, right.
I didn't even know that's a job, but it goes to show there's a lot of diversity and there's a lot of jobs out there in all of our armed services.
Yeah.
So I enlisted when I was 17, went out to Fort Huachuca, learned Morse code, had the opportunity to go to airborne school, became like my father, a paratrooper.
Wow.
Then came back, drilled for a little bit, and then commissioned at Marion Military Institute in 2008.
How old were you then?
So I was 19, 20.
Oh, okay. So short order then, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know about Marion Military Institute. It is a small military junior college out in Marion, Alabama. I mean, you won't find it unless you're looking for it.
Wow.
It's a small town. But it's about 15 miles from Selma. Gorgeous campus, beautiful environment. I mean, you're a Corps of Cadets. It's pure leadership.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about leadership. And
what's the size of a class there?
I'm not sure what it is now, but so my second year, I was a Corps commander. So I was the commander over the entire Corps of Cadets. I was a cadet brigade commander, and we had about 600 cadets.
Wow.
And that's a mix between students that are going there to commission in the Army through the early commissioning program. You also have cadets that are trying to get to West Point or the Naval Academy or the Air Force Academy. Some you just have folks that are going there for the leadership experience.
Sure.
And just going there for college. They don't have a plan on serving afterwards, but it's a good school for them to go to, and then they go on and do great things in the civilian workforce. So it's a really good school, man. I try to send everybody there that I can.
How long is it?
It's 2 years.
So you go 2 years.
You go 2 years.
Do you finish with an associate's degree?
You do.
Yeah, okay.
You do. Yep. And so after that, I went to, of course, when I graduated and when I commissioned, it was 2008. We were still kind of in the height of war.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to go serve. I wanted to go fight. And so I went to infantry school, picked the very first ship that I could, the first unit that was going out the door, and I went downrange to Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
Back in 2009, where I was a company executive officer. I finished up my degree online at University of Maryland, and then I came back, worked at Camp Shelby for a couple years, and then went to Ole Miss for law school.
Oh, so you are an Esquire.
I am.
How about that? So
another title to add.
Yes, I was. I learned that not too long ago. You would think, well, you should know these things. Well, I never was in law school, but I found out that's what Esquire comes from. I was like, oh, okay, well, fair enough.
It's a weird sign that some people still use. Many don't. But,
many don't. Yes, but I think I would if I was a lawyer. I want to be Esquire. That sounds cool. It sounds very formal. I like it.
They have a magazine.
That's true. That is so true. I like that. So obviously, then you've given us a little bit of a foundation as to what started to build the leadership quality that you had and where some of that came from. But let's walk it back a little bit to your childhood. So what does a young Rodney look like growing up? Did you have brothers, sisters? Yeah,
so I was the oldest of two. I have one younger sister. We're wide apart. We're about 7 years apart. So I kind of ended up being more like a younger uncle as opposed to a big brother just because we were so far in age. But I'll tell you, man, we had a blessed upbringing. We had humble beginnings. My parents, they didn't have a lot when I was born back in the 80s. Yes, I'm an 80s baby, so I'm kind of old.
Students at the high school always say, you were born in the 1900s? I'm like, why does it sound, make it sound like it's so long ago.
Late 1900s.
You were the late 1900s. So growing up then, where'd y'all grow up?
So we kind of grew up all over. My family is from Canton, primarily. But my dad, he was also active duty, so he enlisted back when he was 21, 22. So, I was born in Chicago, actually. Went to Germany immediately after I was born. Kind of lived all over. And then we came back when my family started migrating back down south. We moved to South Haven. I went to South Haven, then I finished up high school in Jackson, and then eventually came back up here to DeSoto County.
So how old were you when y'all moved back to DeSoto County area?
Oh, gosh, don't get me lying.
Oh, no, it's all right. You didn't. There's none of that is scripted here. This is just thrown in there, so I'm just kind of...
It was elementary school, so 6th grade.
Oh, so you were pretty young then?
Yep.
All right, so then most of your memory, it seems like, from your childhood would have been in the DeSoto County area.
Yeah.
Did you have any memories from overseas?
No, I don't. I have one memory, and I don't know why this sticks with me, but I remember there was a young girl that was my neighbor. And I want to say this was Germany, and she knew how to ride a bike, and I didn't. And I just was determined to ride a bike, so she let me borrow her bike, and I stayed out all night long just trying to learn how to ride this bike. And it took me a couple hours, but I finally got it.
No adult help. Just get on the bike, go fall, get back up, go on. Do you realize that you're building a life skill in that moment?
You don't.
That would serve you forever.
Absolutely not.
But isn't that the analogy to life?
It really is.
Because if you're not willing to get on something that you probably see a lot of failure at, but you realize that each time you fail, you should learn something and get a little better.
Yep.
You end up never getting on the bike.
No,
the proverbial bike of life. Yep. That is something that whenever I speak to my guests, I always want to throw in these little messages, little nuggets of awesomeness to my guest of realizing that some of the things you do in life, maybe it seems trivial or you don't really put any kind of worth on it. And then you look back on it and you're like, you know what? I was putting building blocks in place right then that nobody was having to give me because you were doing it on your own.
It's funny that you bring that up, Coach. I was having a conversation with another pupil that I'm mentoring, and I do want to give a shout out to my mentor that's with us today, Jasmine. She's with the South Haven Bridge Academy.
Yeah.
And she was shadowing me today at work, and I invited her out here just so she can see kind of what I do during the day. But I was talking with a young male, and I was trying to encourage him and help him find a path forward. And he was like, well, you can do that. You're stronger than me. And I was like, there's no difference between you and I. The only difference are experiences. And yes, I've had experiences over the past 2 decades that have really built up my character, built up my grit, built up my determination. But that comes with putting forth that effort.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with it. You're smart. Your brain works. You're healthy. You can do it, but you have to apply yourself. And don't be afraid to fail. Failure is not the end all be all. This life, this journey that we're on is a journey. There is no finish line until death, until judgment day.
That's right.
And so you have to continue to work on yourself. Build that grit. Build that, what's scar tissue?
Scar tissue, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you have to have it. That's what comes out of character.
I'll tell you what. So recently I spoke to the South Panola football team. Yeah. Sheriff Tuggle had something come up, couldn't make it.
I have nightmares about South Panola.
Look, South I could imagine.
Beat my butt.
I could only imagine. Look, they were on ESPN, right? So whenever Sheriff Tuggle asked me to go down there, I'm like, look, I got to bring Coach Camp fire. I can't go in there just like a soft coach. I got to come in there with some heavy hitting stuff. Yep. And one of the comments I made to him, and don't get me, when I do stuff, sometimes I go into like this metamorphosis. I don't even know where I'm at. And then the words are coming out because it's all from the heart and soul. It ain't even thinking about it anymore. And I just remember those speaking to them about why it needs to be hard, because they had just finished practice and I got there about 30 minutes before it was over. It's so hot. And they're doing this field drill where they're running, they're doing a suicide, then they're flipping a tire, and then they're doing push-ups, and then they're doing a wheelbarrow, and they're doing all these things. You see guys just collapsing. And then you see the team picking them up, keep going, pick them up, keep going. Yeah. And I used that moment because I just brought it right back to them. And I said, now, if you guys came out here and y'all walked up and down the field, would you be proud of yourself? And they were like, no. And I said, if you guys came out here and everything was easy, would you feel like you accomplished anything? I said, no. I said, what if y'all beat everybody by 100 points and you were never truly challenged? Did you really grow? And they're like, no, sir. I said, that's what you got to ask for. You got to ask for the hard times. You got to ask for it to be difficult. And if it ain't hard enough, figure out how to make it harder. And everybody's just like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I did it. Because South Panola, I was a little bit, I ain't going to say intimidated, but I was a little bit like, I got to make sure I bring this one. Yeah, well, so I did. I felt like I did.
Well, we got to give a quick shout out to South Panola. They failed me very early on.
They taught you the failure side of things.
They are the reason why I no longer played football.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They had some big boys there now, and I know back in the day they had some big. We used to call it South Panola University.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they called it. So it was a very successful group of folks. But just back to your story of needing to fail, it's the idea that a person can only be successful if they're willing to fail. Because the truth is, if you're doing something you knew you could do, you didn't grow, you're not better tomorrow. Aaron Judge recently, are you a baseball fan?
I am.
Good. So you know who Aaron Judge then is, obviously. You got to be a Yankees fan, but you got to know who Aaron Judge is. He's the Babe Ruth of today, if you will.
Man, he can swing it.
He said, if what you did yesterday is still impressing you today, that means you haven't done anything today. And I'm like, boy, talk. That is some good stuff. You've got to be able to bring it every day. Try to step your game up. Yep. So back to the young you. As you're growing up, you said your dad was military. Yep. Obviously, that had a huge influence on who you were becoming as a young man as you grew up. Did you have any other influences like coaches or anything that poured into you?
Man, for some reason, my dad has just always been my hero. He is someone that I really looked up to. But another thing that I don't know where this came from, and it might be my mother, because my mother, she always made sure I had a book in my hand. It don't matter what we were doing. Summertime, I had book reports that I had to read and write, and she'd take them and rip them up, say, do it again. And I've always had a book in my hand. But very early on in life, I got big on biographies. And, like you said, back in the day when we were talking offline, when we're younger, we don't really know about politics or leadership and stuff like that. But I would look at biographies of people that I looked up to. And, this was the Bushes of the days, the Reagans, the Colin Powells, stuff like that. And I would just look at, how did they get there? I mean, they're successful. What made them successful? What steps did they take? What path did they take? And from that is how I kind of made a blueprint for myself. Yeah. Yeah. So like when I commissioned, my mom, God bless her heart, she's such a loving mother. For her, it was go be an engineer, go be a doctor, go be an attorney, something like that. Yeah. And when I told her, hey, Mom, I'm branching infantry.
Not thrilled, huh?
Her face just dropped.
Yeah.
Infantry. Why would you go infantry? But all the people that I looked up to, they were combat arms. They were all airborne rangers. They all led in combat. They all led men, tough men, in the best army that we have on the globe. And so I said, if I'm going to be a soldier, I'm going to be a real soldier. And
where did that confidence come from? Because you got to have confidence to jump into that.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to my father. I never, ever felt that I could not do something. Now, I didn't feel that I was entitled to anything. I knew I had to work for it. I remember playing football back with my dad. I was scared to tackle back in the day. This was like peewee football. Mm-hmm. He took me out back, and you can't do this these days. But he made me put my pads on. He got a baseball bat and started cracking me with it.
That'll get you tough.
Yeah, and you know what? After that, I remember there was a young lad out there, and he thought that he could hit harder than me, and I was like, all right, let's do it.
There you go.
But it's that kind of stuff. Somebody looking out and somebody taking an interest in you. Most of the time, it's your parents. But even later on in life, I'm a big proponent of mentorship. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of men, a lot of Army officers, a lot of educators that saw something in me, and I'm not sure what it was back then. I was young, but they said, "Hey, Rodney, you have potential," and they invested time in me. And that's important.
Yeah.
And so I encourage young people, even if you don't have you're not born into the best circumstances, you can get out there and go find somebody that is doing something that you want to do and just bug them. Mm-hmm. Bug them and just say, hey, I will do whatever. I just want to learn from you. I want to see how you got to the place that you are at now. And you can do the same thing with books. Yeah. If there's somebody up there you look to, whether it's an athlete, an Army officer, an attorney, a politician, whatever, an educator, look at their path.
Yeah.
Look at their history.
So you're hitting on something that I think it's tough to have that kind of wisdom when you're young, and that is intuition. Mm-hmm. Being intuitive to something is not always natural for everybody. In fact, I'm speaking this not as a blanket comment to every person on earth, obviously, but a lot. It does apply to a lot. Yeah. Teenagers tend to think they have it figured out, and they don't want to hear what you have to say. So it's really unique whenever you find somebody that's wanting to pick the brain of older people to figure out what it is they did so that maybe you don't make mistakes and you can be a little bit quicker to the win. Mm-hmm. See, that's the part of the failure side of things that if you don't know what you're doing, but it's something you're desiring, you got to jump in. Mm-hmm. We do a whole series. You don't even know that. We have a whole nother podcast called Cannonballing Life. Okay. And it's a comedic style, but it's reality based because the only way that you're going to really experience life is if you just go for it. You have to. You can't be a spectator. And so to that whole mindset that you have of being able to think forward and see that this is a path I want to go. Let me ask this person about some stuff. Maybe this will give me some tools I can work with, because not everything that works for everybody is going to work for you, but you're not going to know if you don't ask, right? So you were doing this and you were growing a Rodney that was moving into leadership roles probably before you realized it. Yeah. One other thing you said too that I think is something that I am humbled by, but I also realize that sometimes it is a gift, and that is to be able to recognize someone else's skill sets and talents that they can't see. And I take that very personal as a coach. And when Coach Camp is my title for the podcast, but I am a real coach for 30 years coaching sports. And I think that's one of the breakthrough moments I love is when I can see a player's potential that they don't see, but I help them, give them some tools that they'll listen to. That's the other thing. You got to be coachable. Yep. It's one thing to have a coach that tells you the right things. It's another thing to be coachable. When you allow yourself to be coachable, which is what you're saying that you were becoming as a young man, all of a sudden those skills and those tools can start to come together and you can see magic happen. And I look back and I have players that have made it to minor league ball, to college. And I'm not saying it was because of me. Yep. I am saying I played a role and it gave them confidence.
Hey, you bring that up and I just kind of want to turn it on the flip side a little bit. As I came into the position where I can mentor and coach and help other folks try to get to where they want to be, somewhere they don't want to be, but you identified how frustrating is it when you see somebody and you're like, you could do so much more. I know that you have more in you.
Eats me
alive.
You're
leaving so much on the table. Another thing that was a big inspiration in my life is really Jesus Christ. I read the Bible cover to cover. A couple times, but one time that really sticks out to me is when I was at Army Ranger School. I don't know if you know about Army Ranger School, but it's one of the toughest trainings that they have out there in all the armed services. And the pass rate's probably about 3%. And when I was, for some reason, the Army, they give out a Bible still to all soldiers. They have them in the barracks, stuff like that. And I grabbed a New Testament, a pocket-sized Bible, and we would go march out in the field. And we're marching all day long. We're doing missions. We're up. We get about 30 minutes of sleep. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you get an hour and a half. But every night, I had that Bible in my pocket, and I would also take out my MRE and cut it open and see if there were some Skittles in there. And I would put those in my pocket as well. And when we finally got the opportunity to rest, I would get down in my fart sack, I'll pull out my Skittles, crack them open, slowly eat them. Mm-hmm. But I'll pull out my Bible too. Man, I'll tell you what motivates me, what really keeps me going is, you know, I'm a Christian. I definitely believe that I'm going to heaven, but how crushing would it be to make it to Judgment Day? And then while he's out there reading your tenets, and he says, "Oh, Rodney Hall, man, I had so much more in store for you."
Man, that's good.
Man, that keeps me up at night, you know, and that is what really motivates me, because I do all think that we have a purpose here on life.
Yes.
And if I get to my Father, our Lord, and he looks at me and says, "Hey, welcome in, Rodney." Oh, but God, man, I had so much more for you.
Yeah.
That break me.
Yeah, it's the same way as the coach mindset, just what you're saying in leadership, the idea that there's this path that you should be on, and when somebody can see that in you and you don't take it, that person that's in that position trying to push you in that direction, it is frustrating for them, and that is a great segue into, obviously, faith-based. And for me, I am faith-based. In fact, I'm going to just tell you this, Rodney, that's why we're here. This was not about me. It never was about me. The podcast was never about me. This was, to me, I had this moment where the recognition of all the years and experiences I had been through had a purpose behind it. And there were a lot of moments that I felt like that I wasn't doing enough, like you're saying right here. And so when the opportunity presented here, and I thought about how do you present a podcast that is inspirational, motivational, and you hit hard, I mean, like heavy topics. We've hit some really heavy topics in here at times. And, it really did come back to, it's the faith that drives you forward. And so many of my guests that have been through some of the toughest storms you could ever dream of, nightmares, absolute nightmares, and how they've come out the other side now, and they recognize that that was actually a moment in their life that they needed to be able to help other people. That's why I feel like this was built. Motivate with Coach Camp. It's not Coach Camp's about to motivate you. It's the with part, and that's the community part that means so much to me. So I'm glad you brought that up, sir.
It does.
And that is good to hear that, you know, we have not just city leaders, not just political leaders, but mentors in society that have that faith base, because I think that it sometimes can be tough to stay focused on that whenever you see a lot of the carnage that happens. But I'm always brought back to, that's because we have so much media in front of our face.
Oh, of course.
And if you go back 50 years ago, does that mean that those things weren't happening? No, those things were probably happening. You just didn't see it every day like you do now. So let's move forward with a little bit of what Rodney Hall became. So when you got into the military, what did you see that looking like as you move forward down the road? Did you think, all right, this is what I'm going to do forever? What else did you do?
Yeah, you know, my dad, he did 25 years. I knew I was at least doing 20, but probably doing at least 26 to top him.
Oh, I love it.
My dad, he retired as a first sergeant, so I got him on the rank already as soon as I commissioned. But I said I'll beat him in all regards. He always told me he wanted me to grow up to be better than him, so I'm striving to do that. The problem is he keeps moving the bar.
Oh,
my dad
is he still in?
No, he's not in, but he's retired. But he's a serial entrepreneur and a successful entrepreneur. He has 3 businesses that he is running, and he's crushing it. I'm like, Pop, slow down.
You got to share what those are in a minute. I don't want to disrupt your thought, but I got to hear what those are.
But so I knew I was doing at least 20 years, probably more. I knew that I wanted to follow the path, but I'll tell you, when I first got in there, if you asked me what my dream was, my dream job, my dream position, Airborne Ranger, company commander, leading men in combat. That was it. I could have retired as a captain and I'd be a happy camper.
And all those things, not what your mom was wanting.
Nope, not at all.
That's all right. That's all right.
But, you know, I made it to captain. I deployed as a company commander. I was already Ranger qualified, was coming back. And I had another mentor that saw something in me, Colonel Bowler. And I begged him. I begged this man, and we're friends. I was like, "Sir, please give me another company command. I just love being out there in the field with the troops. I'll go do HHC. I'll go do a logistics command. I don't know anything about logistics. I'll do it. Just let me stay a company commander." And he said, "Rodney, it's time for you to promote. It's time for you to move up." And so because of him, I made it to major. Of course, the first rank of the field grade officers. And then had to realize, okay, we got to keep going. There's more work to be done.
Yeah.
And so through him and other mentors like him, you know, the next path was battalion commander. That's what I'm doing now. But, you know, the ultimate goal is not about necessarily the rank. It's not about the accolades or the awards. It's really about the job.
The opportunities that the position brings.
Yeah. And so, you know, just like company commander, the reason why I loved it is because you're leading, you know, our greatest asset that we have in America, our men and women in uniform. You get to do that at every different echelon. So as a company commander, you have a company of 130, 135. Battalion commander, 600, 660. But then the next is brigade commander. And I'm a mechanized infantry guy. So, I mean, that's tanks and Bradleys. You're talking about 4,000, 5,000 troops. And you're owning a battle space when you're deployed downrange. And then, of course, after that, it's division commander. And so, my goal, if this was the end, battalion commander, I would be a happy man. Mm-hmm. But I do think that I have the propensity to go and try to be a brigade commander, maybe even a division commander at the GO level.
So how many years now have you been in at this point?
So I will hit 21 years in December.
All right, so I had that down, so my research was on point with that one. But I didn't know if that needle had moved since the last time that this was updated. So then, any lack of love for the military since you've come in, or any change of thought?
Man,
because we all evolve in our thing.
There's one big regret that I have when it comes to the military. Really two. One, I never got the opportunity to at least try out for Special Forces. And, those are our Green Berets. Those are our top trained military folks, soldiers that go out there in clandestine, remote, austere locations, and they go and they build a nation up. Those guys are extremely skilled. I promoted too fast, and I was in the wrong, I was in Syria when I should have been back at home trying to get into selection. That's one. But the other is, man, there are so many opportunities out there. I wish I had another life to do 2 military careers, because there's a lot of fun stuff out there to do. Yeah. Where else can you go and shoot a tank on the weekend, or go to diving school, or go to Halo school? I'll tell you, I love jumping out of planes. I wouldn't pay to jump out of a plane, but if you want to pay me to jump out of a plane, sign me up. I do it every day of the week.
Yeah, no doubt. That's on my bucket list. I've not even jumped out of a plane. I've done a lot of stuff that's not one. Do you know a guy? Can you hook me up? All right,
actually, I do.
I need a guy to jump out of a plane. I've been trying to do that for a while.
Yeah, but there's so many different jobs, positions, responsibilities that you can do, in service to your nation, in service to your state. And, I just haven't had the opportunity or the time to do it all. And I just wish I could do more of it. So, no, there's no regrets. I'll tell you, the Army has also opened up a lot of doors for me. Talking about my position now, a lot of people ask, how did I get into politics?
That's where we were going next. That's on my list here. So if you want to transition, we can.
And that was from the Guard. When I signed up to go to law school, I thought I was going to be Atticus Finch. I wanted to go down to the Delta and, hang a shingle and practice law and barter for legal services and chicken corn, or, chicken feed and potatoes and stuff like that. But I was at drill one weekend, and I had a buddy who was also on staff with me. He was working for Congressman Greg Harper at the time. His name's Jordan C. Smart fella. He was an intel officer. And now he lives up in D.C. doing great things. But he was working for Greg Harper. He was on his staff. He was coming out of law school. I was going into law school, so I was in my first year. And he was like, "Hey, Rodney, what are your plans for the summer?" And the legal field, like, your summers are everything. Like, what you do for your summer internships really kind of set the trajectory of what you're going to do when you graduate. And, I was like, well, I'll do some guard stuff. I'll probably go to a school, air assault school or something like that. And he was like, man, you should come up to D.C. I think you'll like it. And so I did. Off a whim, I went up to D.C., went to go do an internship up there on Capitol Hill with a member of Congress. And, man, I'll tell you, the energy there, but not the energy just to get things done, the service in action. You know what I mean? Like, you can see the good work that's being done up there, and how it trickles across different districts, different states, different regions. And from there, I fell in love with legislation. And so, fast forward eventually.
What year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
So I went up there in 2015. This was right when Congressman Kelly first got elected. Okay. And, so fast forward later, I just finished my second deployment. I thought I was going to go to the Pentagon and write war plans. I was going to be an Army strategist. He called me up and he said, "Hey, Rodney, I got a job for you. Let me know when you can start." And, from there, I started working for Congressman Trent Kelly, who was also in the National Guard still. He was a 2-star. He recently retired.
How did I not know that?
Yeah.
I knew a lot about Trent Kelly, but I did not know that.
He's a true warrior. But, and it goes back to mentorship.
Yeah.
Trent Kelly, I remember there were nights that we would have votes. And votes in Congress would sometimes just draw on to
We just
8,
saw
9
some
o'clock.
of that. Yeah.
And it's coming up again. The National Defense Authorization Act is coming up for markup next week. And they're going to be there until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And Trent, he would sit with me on the sofa and we would just talk about history, about life, about goals, about opportunities, everything. Yeah. And he didn't hold back. You get around a lot of politicians and they kind of keep their cards close to their chest. Sure. Not him, man. He is an earnest, honest person. He is all about helping out his staff, and I think that shows in how his alumni base, the folks that have worked for him, how they have went out and done great things in whatever field that they decided to pursue after leaving his office. But it was from him that it was like, hey, Rodney, I think that you could do some good for DeSoto County. You need to go home.
That's a great illustration too of how leadership in action can inspire the next generation. Yeah. I mean, obviously. You've heard this. I'm saying obviously, maybe you haven't, but I'm sure you have. The comment of "do as I say, not as I do," and I've said forever that is not a leader. If you know better and you're not doing that to show others, you're not a leader. No. So just keep it to yourself.
You might be managing.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, you've got to lead by example, and some of that sometimes is showing that interest in the next generation and pouring into them that inspiration that it's going to take to build that next person that's going to come in behind you, because that's the thing too. Life is short. It's a vapor. You got to pass the torch. And at some point, no matter how good you are, no matter how strong you are, no matter how smart you are, time wins. It does. I said that to a friend of mine. Connie Burton was in here, and he is a 60-something-year-old phenom. He runs a gym down in Senatobia. I don't know if you've ever met this guy.
Oh, I haven't.
He is a brick house. And he was talking about some of the guys coming in that they wanted him to train them how to take over his gym one day. And he wasn't ready for that. And I said, Connie, I'm going to tell you one thing. Death is undefeated. You're not going to make it all the way to the finish line of life in general. You got to pass the torch. Yeah. He's like, I never thought about it that way. So that is the truth. And that's actually what I'm hearing Congressman Kelly doing for you. He's putting that into you. So now you can do that. And I'm just going to say this because it's off camera. I know you guys can't see this, but Miss Jasmine's right over here to my left. And that's what you're doing with the next generation here, influencing them by showing them these are the footsteps I'm taking. These are the actions I'm doing. So, hey, look, if this is your style and this is where you want to go, this is what you're going to do. So you make this decision. He pours into you about running for, and this is embarrassing part because I don't know all the breakdowns of jobs. I'll look it up, I'll read it, but I never done anything like in government, so I don't really know. So explain to me what exactly it is that the representative from Mississippi House District 20 is responsible for.
Yeah, so I'm a legislator, so I basically make laws. And if you think of Congress, right, think of Washington, D.C., you have a House, you have a Senate, you have an executive branch with the president. We kind of have the same kind of setup in our state. We have a House, we have a Senate, we have a governor. And so I'm doing somewhat of the same type role, albeit for a very different scope. You got to think the way our government is set up, our federal government has limited powers. That's the way our Constitution is set up, and I think our founding fathers did a great job with it. Our state legislators, our state lawmakers have plenary power, which means although we don't get as much TV time as they do in Washington, most of the stuff that affects us day to day, your schools, your infrastructure, your public safety. I mean, all the stuff that affects your quality of life, most of that is done here at the state level. Now, I feel my chief role is to go out there and work with other folks in government. Like I work with our mayors, I work with our board of aldermen. Their job is to build cities, make sure that our roads are good, make sure that our police force is full, make sure they have all the tools that they need. My job is to go get the resources to make sure that they can make that happen. Okay. And so you look at like our city in South Haven and Olive Branch, their police force, phenomenal. They're doing a phenomenal job, especially in light of, some of the challenges that our neighbors having just north of us. Sure. As far as keeping our
That's not a secret. Safe. That's nationwide information. Yeah.
Our schools. I mean, we have the largest school district in the entire state of Mississippi. We also have the best school district in the entire state of Mississippi.
And that's not an accident.
It's not. And so our superintendent, Corey Usselton, doing a fantastic job. My goal is to make sure that he has all the tools that he needs to ensure that he can continue that track record. Right. Because ultimately, when it boils down to it, my goal is, and you can look at my law class and you can look at, I bet, a bunch of law classes. I know State Auditor Shad White has this big thing, Stay in the SIP. When I graduated, I would say, and this is a spitball, but I would say 70 to 80% of my classmates left.
Like just dispersed across the country? Or?
Yeah. They went to go find other opportunities, whether that was in
more
Georgia,
money or something?
Yeah.
Usually.
It's money, opportunity, jobs, right?
Yeah.
There's different type of jobs out there. You go to Nashville, you go to California, you go to Austin, Texas, you go to D.C. It's different types of jobs. And, so we lose a lot of our talent that we have here. And you see it. You're a coach. Yeah. How much talent have we had and how much time do we get on the news with some guy or some gal from Mississippi is crushing it somewhere else? That's our talent. That's our talent that's homegrown here. Yeah. My goal is to make a society, to make a community, and communities all across the state where our kids, when they graduate, they don't have that same dichotomy in front of them, right? Do I stay home by my community, by my family, start my career here, start a business here, raise my family here when I eventually start having kids? Or do I go out and try to find opportunity because there aren't many here or there aren't the ones that I'm looking for here? And we're not going to do that with everything, right? I can't pick up and bring, the New Orleans Saints to Mississippi.
Right.
But some of these other jobs, especially when you look at what we're doing with AI, with tech, manufacturing, agriculture, even with ag. I mean, everybody goes out to Silicon Valley for tech, but I don't think Silicon Valley is going to solve our food problem across the nation. That's going to come from an agricultural state. And so I think that's going to be handled right here, whether that's in Arkansas, Mississippi, or Alabama, right? So that's what I'm looking at. I want to do the big swings that make a big lasting impact. I don't want to just occupy a seat. I don't want to just push a button. I want there to be material change. We have some of the best people in all of the globe, and I've been all over the globe 3 times. They deserve the opportunity to live the best life that they can. And that's my goal. I want them to be able to fulfill their dreams right here at home.
So many things you just said. I'm going to try to unpack some of that. Hopefully I can bring it all back together on what I'm hearing you say so that I know that I'm clear, but then also sometimes just reiterating that drives a point home. So you're basically like a liaison to the point of the government, city officials to finding funding for certain aspects that are needed. What is your district? What all does that encompass?
Yeah, so I represent the 20th district. If you think of South Haven and Olive Branch, my northern boundary, State Line Road, so that's very easy. I have everything south of State Line. On the western side, I have Highway 51 over there in the west end of South Haven. On the east side, I have Highway 78. That's over in Olive Branch. And then my southern boundary is Rascal Road, and then it drops down to Church Road as you get over to Olive Branch. So it's a very compact district. But one thing that I'm very encouraged by is the colleagues that we have in DeSoto County. Our county, we have, especially in the House, we have a lot of newer legislators with Kim Remack, Justin Keene, myself, Doc Harris. And then we have 2 kind of more senior folks, Bill Kincaid and Jeff Hale. I went
to school with Jeff, by the way. Just throwing that in there.
Yeah,
I did. Just throwing that in there.
And I can't forget Cedric Burnett and Hester McCrae on the other side. But DeSoto County is such a community. I mean, it's a big county with a lot of people, and we continue to grow, but it feels like a community, right? I mean, the lines between South Haven and Horn Lake, or Horn Lake and South Haven and Olive Branch and Hernando and all the other cities in towns, Walls included, in DeSoto County, it's just so knit. All the people are very close. And so we work very close together to make sure that we're looking out for all DeSoto County equities, whether it's in my district or not. I don't think that we need to be so parochial that we only look and say, if it's not in my sandbox, I'm not supporting it, because that's not how we live our lives here.
Look, let's be honest. If you have a bad neighbor, it makes your life difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just face it. I mean, look, I've lived in subdivisions where you got some bad neighbors, man. You don't want to go home. So it's always good to have a community of good neighbors with you, because that makes your life easier as well and better for everybody. So then not only just bringing in the funds and that, but I like the part too that you're bringing up in the idea that what you're building is, you have to be a visionary. Yeah. You have to see the future almost in it and the benefit from it. Yeah. And whenever you do that, and this is not cliche to say, whenever you build something that's great here, it's going to be something that somebody else is going to want to model. Yep. And then that greatness builds greatness. We already talked about at the beginning of the show, negativity builds negativity. So does positivity building positivity. That goes hand in hand with structural approach and a community approach and the direction of the future. So then whenever this idea comes to you that this might be something you could do, is this, help me out. Did you have an incumbent when you ran?
No. No. So this was a brand new seat.
Okay.
There was no incumbent, and so it was an open primary. And then I did have an opponent in the Republican primary. He was a tough opponent, but we were able to overcome. But I think it was really more so talking about our vision. You know, you asked me about what is my role as a legislator. Yeah. I mean, that stuff right there that I talked about is kind of the day-to-day, right?
Yeah.
You're paying tax dollars. We want to make sure that we're spending your tax dollars respectfully and efficiently. We have needs here, like I-55 needs to be expanded. We have the DeCrua matter with the wastewater over in the Horn Lake and South Haven areas. We have the airport over in Olive Branch, which is growing to the point to where you might not have to go to Memphis anymore to fly out anywhere in the nation.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
that is coming.
Wow.
Man, Olive Branch has been crushing.
So 747s.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, they are getting big. Right now, I believe it still is private passenger jets, but they're growing. And
I looked there about 3 years ago about getting my private pilot's license. Said, pull the trigger on that one yet.
I'm looking for a friend that has one. I'll go learn how to fly it. I just can't afford the plane.
But that's interesting. That's big.
But that's the day-to-day piece.
Yeah.
The other piece is the vision piece. And again, this stuff isn't necessarily new under the sun, but I'll tell you what really made me want to be a legislator. And this was back in my time with Trent Kelly's office. I was working for Trent doing the defense. I had the defense portfolio, of course, me being an Army guy. And so we were doing the NDA and all this good stuff. And I remember I was working up there and Donald Trump, he was standing up the Space Force. And everybody was competing for the Space Force, and it was Colorado, they wanted a piece. Alabama wanted a piece, of course, inside the Beltway. I think even Mississippi was trying to make a pitch for it. And I was like, why would they even consider this? All the other services are in the Pentagon. And so when the results came out that they were moving to Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama, I was like, this has to be something political. I mean, like, what does Alabama have that would warrant them getting a whole new Space Force? And so they had this thing called the Space and Missile Defense Symposium. I said, I'm going to go down there and see, why did Alabama, Huntsville of all places, get the Space Force? And I'll tell you, when I went down there, I was amazed. It's kind of like Oxford with lawyers and writers. You can't throw a rock in the square without hitting one of them. And that's true. Well, in Huntsville, it's the same thing with engineers. And they have all the space and missile defense industries, right? SpaceX, ULA, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, NASA, Redstone Arsenal, everything. And so I started going back and peeling the onion back and seeing, how did this happen? Because, again, we're in Alabama. Yeah. And it happened through legislation. It happened through a powerful legislator that had a lot of seniority. He was the chairman of Senate. He was the chairman of Appropriations in the Senate. And he brought Redstone Arsenal down there. And through that, you had a cluster that grew around it. And you had an industry that grew around it. And from there, if you fast forward to where we are now, everybody's doing well. I mean, you can be an engineer. You can be literally a rocket scientist. You can work in a restaurant. You could be a teacher. You could be a nurse. And they're all living their quality of life is just impressive. Was that an aha moment for you? It was. And that is the power of legislation. Yeah. So you saw really what it was capable of doing. Exactly. And you wanted to not only be a part of that, but you could recognize what kind of impact and legacy you could have right here in your hometown. So something you said that I have often been baffled by. While more places, and this is pretty generic, but I just use my school. I don't know if you know I'm a professor at Southwest, and sometimes I look at the way some of the programs are ran and the way the colleges ran, and there's areas I see from a very cellular level that it could be done better. But then I see these other colleges across the country that are thriving and really crushing it. And I'm like, why are we not emulating some of that? It seems like that's an obvious answer, but that sounds like that's what you kind of did. You saw where the success was being driven, and you're like, let me go figure out what they're doing right, so we could do that. So then you come back here, and this is a part of your vision now. When was it you got sworn into the position you're in now? So my election was 2023, took office in January 2024. Okay. So I'm in my second year of my first term. How's it going so far? It's great. It's everything that I can imagine. So that was the one. Is it what you thought? It is one of those things. And we're a part-time legislature. So, of course, we're in session from January to March or January to April, depending on the year. And then we also do some stuff in the off season. We still have hearings and stuff like that. But it's one of those jobs are one of those opportunities that if you could give it 28 hours, it asks for 30. You know, it's just I just give so much to it, almost a lot at a loss to myself, right?
Sure.
And I don't mean pecuniary, right? I don't mean necessarily money, but it's really time. I'm always going. I'm always working. I'm always trying to figure out problems. I'm always strategizing and looking towards the future. And I know that my family gives so much, and I'm blessed with my wife and my kids. They just...
I was going to go there soon. We were getting to family life, but
I don't know how she does it, but she is the glue that holds that thing together, man. She just... And I'll tell her, she has my calendar, and so she knows like where I'm going, and I'm just back-to-back travel. I mean, tomorrow morning I fly up to New York to go to the Council of Foreign Relations.
Thank you for fitting me in. By the way, guys, in case you don't know, I mean, look, I know you had a lot going on. You said you're on the road. You've worked me into your schedule. That means a lot to me. I'm always humbled by the individuals that carve out a part of their time to come in, because you just said time is the value.
It is.
It's not so much the money, it's the value of time, and that is something we don't get back. You know, you can always make more money, but you can't make more time.
You sure can't.
And we all have a certain number that we're going to make it to, and then that's going to be it. And thank God I don't know what that is yet, but I'm going full tilt until I get there.
Exactly.
So here's something that I think, and we're going to go back to the family thing, because that's a big part of the success of anyone, I think. Unless you don't have wife, kids, anything, and you're just a solo act out there, which is fine. But if you have those things, man, they got to be on board.
Oh, 100%.
They got to be on board. You just said though that you'll do 30 hours when 28 is required, and that goes back to our pre-conversation about find the thing that drives you, the passion, and you can't help but be successful, because it's hard to turn off.
It is.
I've told this to so many of my students over the years, and that is your dream shouldn't be something you have when you're sleeping. It should be the thing that keeps you awake at night. If your dream keeps you awake at night, you know that's real.
That's a good one.
You know that's real.
And I feel it because I'm always either with an audiobook or a podcast, and I can't go to sleep because I want to hear that next point, you know?
Yeah. I feel like right now somebody in England is staying awake because they want to hear the next point we're about to make, which is about family. And you're absolutely right about that. It drives you and it makes you look at the next thing and then the next thing. And it's not a bad thing as long as you keep a healthy balance. And a healthy balance comes through family life. So when you decide to sign on for this thing, now look, let me ask you this. How long have you and your wife been together?
So, you know, funny story. Me and my wife, we met back when we were children, like babies, children. So her dad and my dad, they were best friends on active duty. And so they're both, first duty station was Germany.
How old would you say you were?
I was 1, 2, 3. 1, 2,
Love
3.
at first sight?
Well, I didn't know what love at sight was.
Say yes. Yes, it was. Yes, of course, obviously.
But, you know, they were best friends, so we kind of grew up together. And then we split apart because as the Army does, they send you off to different places. And so they went to Texas, and we went to, you know, California and South Carolina, Texas, kind of all over the South. And then it was later in life that we got together. When I was deployed, she slid in my DMs. You know, that's what the kids do these days.
That's right. You got the DM in there, right?
So, and then so we've been together ever since. But
so how many years now? How many years y'all been married?
We're going on 6.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble. Yeah, that once my brother was in here once. I was talking to him. He was like, his wife was like, that's my bad, dog. That's my bad. So yeah, so 6 years. So then that was obviously pre everything that you're doing right now.
Yep.
So she had to sign off on this.
She did. And
when you go to her, what's that conversation like?
You know, I just told her that's what it goes back to leadership, you know, and having a vision. You have to lead by example. You have to have the qualities that make somebody feels like they can trust and follow you. And I told her flat out, I had an opportunity to take a job, very stable, just go active duty and, you know, ride that thing out. And I love the Army, so it wouldn't have been a bad life. But when I got called back to go to Capitol Hill, I said, hey, babe, we're going to take a big pay cut, a big pay cut. I mean, 50% pay cut. Wow. We're going back starting from the bottom.
Wow, that is serious.
But I told her, I think that this is what we're supposed to be doing. I think this is the path that I'm supposed to be on. And she trusted me. She jumped in wholeheartedly. Now, when it came down to the campaigning piece, she's still not a big fan of going out and speaking on my behalf. But if I say, baby, I need you here, or hey, we got this event at 6 o'clock tonight, I need you to be ready to go. I'll pick you up after work. She's ready.
Yeah.
And you know, but that's the team. You know, she does the stuff that I get so. You got to know yourself, right? You got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and see where your strengths and weaknesses are. And I tell you, I'm like a bull in the china shop. I can get tunnel vision, and when I get my eyes or when I get locked in on what I'm trying to do or what I'm planning on doing, I just go. Like that is just the engine that is in me. But I also have huge blinders, and my peripheral is just, I miss it.
Yeah.
And she picks that stuff up. She's the one that says, hey, when's the last time you talked to your mom? You need to call her. Or, hey, we got this coming up. You need to be there. And so she picks up and she completes me, especially in the points where I'm weak at, or the points where I just miss the ball because I'm focused. I'm focused like a laser.
Yeah.
And so through that, we have been just a great team, a really good team. And, you know, she has always been just 100% behind anything that I'm trying to do when it comes to what I'm doing for Mississippi, because ultimately I'm doing it not just for Mississippi, but for our kids, for our family, and for our future. So
sure, and I think you can even look at it as a broader spectrum of you being an influence to others across the nation.
Yeah,
you know, whenever you build a great model, even though not everybody does it, eventually some of the other places will be like, "Hey, look what they're doing over here. Let's go." Because you did that in Huntsville.
It is,
you know, and the influence was there.
Yeah,
I wonder if they even know how much they influenced you.
They probably don't. And you know, I'm still thinking about a question that you asked about leadership in different levels and why is it this way in one area and different in another. And it really boils down to leadership and vision. We have to start looking for leaders that have vision, and we have to allow them to take the big swings. You know, I'm a freshman legislator. We have a brand new Speaker of the House, and I'm a big note taker. And so he was doing his first speech when we got down there last year, and he was talking about taking big swings and not being scared to miss, because that's what's required to get Mississippi forward from a position than where we are today. That's right. What's required to get past this hill that we're on. And I admire that. That takes courage. You got to be willing to take big swings, and you can't be afraid to miss.
If you always play it safe, you never really go anywhere.
I mean, you can bunt every that's, pitch, but
that's not going to get you very far. And here's the other side of that too, that I think sometimes is lost in translation, is the fact that when a person is taking big swings, and maybe they're not successful all the time, and maybe that person never sees success themselves, but what ends up happening is people learn a lot from that individual in that moment, and whatever that thing is that we're talking about here, and they can grow from that, and that's where the impact happens. It may be even after our lifetime at times. And I have, you know, I became a historian as I got older, looking at what other people went through, how they got to where they are. I'm a big entrepreneur. This whole thing here that started in the speaking company and everything I do, whenever I came to my wife in 2021 in March, I can remember we were standing in the doorway of the bedroom, and I said, honey, I'm thinking about becoming a motivational speaker. What do you think about that? Are you cool with that? She looked at me for a second. She goes, if I said no, are you going to stop? I said, no, but I need you on board. She goes, it's fine. So, you know, simple and small, but the point is, you know just as well as I do, if your significant other is not willing to take the ride with you, the ride's probably not going to ever happen. And that's where our strength comes from. I think that's a great marriage counseling moment right there.
It really is.
You pick somebody that is your friend and your best friend and wants to go in the same directions with you and live life and have these moments of vulnerability that you can both grow from together. Because if you just play it safe, you probably end up never doing anything in life.
Yeah. And, you know, to add to that, I also think it's about trust.
It is.
You know, you got to have a partner that you just know that they are going to do everything in their power to do what's best for you and the family. Yeah. You got to put egos aside and say, I trust you to do what you think is right and to give all that you can to make it happen. And if it doesn't happen, all right, then what's the next plan? What's the contingency plan? What are we doing after this, right? The never give up, always pushing forward, the always moving forward. So that trust is a big thing.
That is the biggest thing, in my opinion, when it comes to being able to take adventures. It is. If you are always thinking it has to always work out the way you said, you're probably not going to have that trust. You've got to have the trust that not only if it doesn't work out, there's a plan B, a plan C. We're going all the way to Z, and then guess what? We're hitting it back to A again. We're going to figure this thing out together, and that's what it takes.
Talking about my wife, though, and this is kind of where we differ. She might beat me up for saying this, but my wife, she's a big planner. So all the vacations and stuff, you know, the whole itinerary with we're going here, and then at this time we're going here, and then we're going to have lunch here, and wants the whole agenda planned out. Same thing with life. And, you know, I probably started that way. Actually, I don't think I ever was that way. And a lot of it probably was from Army training. You know, we always say that plan is only as good until you take the first step across LD. You can plan all that you want, and it's important to plan because it prepares you for what you're about to go to ahead. But
it's a mindset,
as soon as you
for
cross, that plan is, as soon as first round down range, that plan is out the water, right?
Yeah, Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Exactly.
So that's true.
In the same vein, the enemy has a plan, and you can't always account for theirs. And so when it comes to that planning piece, I've always just had it's kind of like the Mississippi River. I know where I'm going to end up. That path might change a little bit.
That's so good.
You know, that Mississippi River, it goes back and forth. It takes its own path. And, you know, I try to, with my best intentions, to always hit every single gate that I think is required. Sometimes you get to a point and you say, oh, this one's not working out, but this one might. That's right. It still gets me there, right? And so I try to encourage younger folks to have that kind of mentality. Cool. You wanted to go into computer engineering and you found out that you don't like this part so much, but you still like a facet of it. Give that a shot. That's still getting you in the direction that you want to go to, right? That's the kind of progress we need. Don't be scared to fail, and don't be deterred when it doesn't happen exactly as you thought it up on when you were dreaming on acetate. I have two speeches I've given. One of them was goals don't have to change, but oftentimes the path will. And that is the same thing that you're saying. It's so true. You go down this route and then you come back and you go like this. And I said, now let's just put this analogy to football because I'm a sports guy. I'm a coach. I said, when you roll this into a sports analogy, a football team, what is their goal every time they get the ball on offense? Score a touchdown. Their goal is always score a touchdown. Do they always score a touchdown? Obviously not. I guess it depends on what school you're with. But most of the time, obviously not. So what do they have to do? They have to punt. Is punting giving up? No, punting's putting themselves in a better position to ultimately achieve the goal they've set out to do. And that's life. That's life in a nutshell. You're going to find yourself in situations where you can't force the ball forward anymore. So it's best to punt. Put yourself in a better position to come back later. That whole thing came to me, and I'll just give you the small snippet of Chris Camp. So no, this is about Rodney, but sometimes it all correlates, if you will. I tried to build a house for 10 years on the property we're at now. And every time I tried it the same way. And every time I failed. So that's the definition of insanity, right? Exactly. So at some point, I'm like at a loss, and I asked my father-in-law, rest his soul. I asked my father-in-law, I said, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing? He goes, maybe you ought to punt. And that analogy became so real to me. And I'm like, okay, let me think about that. And so then on the third time I went back, I did it different and everything worked out. I was so fixated. You talk about tunnel vision, bull and china shop. You and I, hey, look, the moment you started talking, I was like, oh no. We related somehow. I don't know how, but it's there. It's right there. So I said, that's me in a nutshell. Is once I get fixated, sometimes it's hard to take a step back. And that's so true to life. And as a legislator, that's going to be something that's going to be an invaluable tool for you because you're going to have a vision, you're going to have a goal, and you're going to try to work towards that for the betterment of the city, for the betterment of the people. And you're going to know in your heart it's the right thing. So you got to be able to go back and remind yourself, this is the right thing. But I'm going about it this way and it's not working. Let me go about it this way and see if it works. And that's the kind of tools. And that's the thing I hope that my viewers pick up from this kind of conversation is, you know, we have real people in real positions doing real things for people out there that their heart is in the right place. Their mind is in the right place and they're pushing for the right reasons. And sometimes they're not successful, but don't think that they weren't trying to be successful and don't give up on the idea that they will be successful. I just said a lot of words, Rodney. Sorry. No, that's a good point. And, you know, your analogy, when you said it, I could see it in my face. But that's another reason why I just wish everybody would participate in athletics, especially team athletics. I mean, I like golf now, but, you know, back in the day, I grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, and soccer, right? You know, kind of the big four. But you learn those lessons, right? Life is hard. It doesn't always work out. You got to play, and this play worked super perfect. It was so flawlessly ran in practice. But as soon as you get out there and you try to run it, the ball's picked, right? So that's why I want kids and especially our young adults as they're going through life is to do something with other people where you have to work on a goal together, where you will face some adversity. You might not make it pro. I knew that I wasn't. My mom, she used to call me 6'9" because she thought I was going to be 6'9" and go into the league. And I ended up being 5'9". So thank you, Mom.
1 foot short. That's all right.
But the skills and the qualities and the attributes that you learn from it, you carry that a lifetime.
Look, one of the things that I taught my students, I have students, I also have players, and I get them crossed up all the time, which is why my students call me coach as well. So one of the things I always told my players too was that there's a lot of value in losing. You gotta know how to lose to be able to pick yourself up and move forward again. And sometimes when you have some tough losses, you ain't happy about the loss. And I always tell them it's okay to be very disappointed, upset about the loss. You should be, because if it didn't matter to you, why are we even out here? It should matter. But at the end of the day, it's how do you pick yourself up and move forward again? And you're right. Sports gives you that about life, at least if you have the right mentors, right coaches, which is why I am a big advocate for coaching the coach. I want the coaches that's always been around me to try to pick up some of those characteristics that I found as a kid, that when I had coaches that infused in me the right way, man, I grew. And I had coaches that were not great coaches, and it would tear you down. And that is not helpful. That's not beneficial. And so for you playing sports, I can also see how that's going to help. I know we're getting close to the end of time. Look, there's always there's guests that I can talk to forever. You're one of those guys because it's just an easy flow conversation.
Yeah, we can carry this on offline.
Pretty easy. One thing I wanted to just touch on real quick, I had this down here in my notes, was growing up in my time, and you kind of gave your timeline when you were graduating. Was it 1980? Did you graduate or born? Born 1980. So I've got 13 years on you.
Okay.
No, that's not true. I got 7 years. I'm doing bad math. That's Common Core math. So I'm going to go back to regular math. I got 7 years on you. And growing up, my high school years, even in my college years, we never sat around talking about politics. It was not something that was a major forefront. It wasn't polarizing like it is today. And so that's one question I wanted to just touch on real fast with you, was knowing the environment that we live in because of, and I'm going to put it on social media because it's an information outlet, and it's always, a lot of times it could be a polarizing piece of material that you're watching or hearing, and it's not always accurate. What is one of the consequences for you and the family of having to be into a political realm, or does it even affect you in the role you're in? That's the question I was curious of, because I know it's a different environment, different world.
Yeah, that was a challenge getting in there. I'll tell you, as a soldier, especially as a grunt, as a infantry officer, social media, what? I didn't do that. I'm still not on TikTok. I just hadn't. I'm not there yet.
Fighting the power on that one,
But posting your life, posting what you're doing, all that good stuff. All the people that I am close to, I know where to find them. I can talk to them. I don't have to post it, right? I was never about look at me, look at what I'm doing, look how successful I am. I got to put everything on social media. And so that was a big challenge for me. And then, there's folks out there that, you haven't had the opportunity to meet, and they got you figured out, right? They know all about you. They know your character, and they never even had a conversation with you or shook your hand and looked you in your eyes. So that's always a challenge. But it's also an opportunity. One thing that I have come to see, and this is kind of affects the country, but it's real bad here in DeSoto County. We have voter apathy, just like through the roof. Out of 82 counties, we're 81 of 82 in voter turnout. And
I've heard that before. I didn't know it was that low, but I've heard that we're really low on the registered voters versus the ones that actually show up.
Yep. Yeah, we are at an all-time low across the board.
Why do you think that is?
And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think a lot of that, I put a lot of that on us as elected officials, right? I think that you have to be somebody that people want to show up and support. People believe in your vision, and they want to support your vision and see that happen. Yeah. I also think we have a duty to go out there and share our vision, introduce ourselves. I mean, most folks in DeSoto County, most folks across the nation, heck, they're trying to get by. They're trying to raise their kids or pay their bills or, go to work or worry about the next, family vacation. There's a lot going on in life. And just like I can sit down and do and give all my time to one thing, I know that is, that's everybody across the board. Yeah. And so why would somebody invest in me? Why should they go and take time out of their day or skip work to go vote for me? I know the easy answer is it's your civic duty. That's what we're supposed to do. And it is a right. And, I do believe in that. That's our democracy. Sure. But I also think that we have a responsibility to go out there and meet with the people that we represent. I mean, my job is representative, right? It's in the title. I represent my people, my constituents. And I don't personally feel that I can be a very good representative if I don't know my people. Right. And, as much as I put my phone number everywhere, my personal cell phone number, But people are busy. And so I go and I still canvas to this day. I go out and I knock on doors and I go to people where they are and I introduce myself and say, hey, I am your representative. Yeah. I work for you. This is the stuff that I'm working on. This stuff impacts your family. It affects your family. It affects your current situation and your future. And I want to talk to you about it. I want to talk about what I feel we should be doing in Mississippi. And I want to hear what you think we should be doing in Mississippi. And I also want to be held accountable. Leadership should be servant leadership. I think that we're here to serve. And if we don't do that, we will continue to have voter apathy. We will continue to have bad leaders, and we will continue to be on the same path and the same trajectory that we've been on for many years prior to, right? And so I feel like that's our responsibility. Among other people, but I'm looking for that answer. I really am. And as I continue to go out and canvas, I hope to find it soon.
I was a little surprised. Full admission, I follow the path of what I've been able to research myself, the ethical ideas of a person that at least they're broadcasting, because sometimes it's hard to know if you don't get a chance to sit down with them and get to know who they really are on the background. But the bottom line for me is I will always go out and vote, but I don't dig into it. So whenever I started having folks on, like Corey Esseltyn's been on, all the mayors have been on, and when they tell me some of that, it is shocking because DeSoto County is so large and we have such a low voter turnout. I've always been surprised by that. But I like what you said. So you're taking a person that's a candidate and not just putting a face with it, but you're putting a personality. And whenever a person starts to understand who that individual is, whoever that is, and what drives them, what motivates them, and the fact that they want to give those individuals, their constituents, a voice, I think that's a reason. That's a reason to tune in. So one of the things I hope for, I'm not a political show, obviously. We talked about that before we started, but I think it's important to have leaders, and politicians are supposed to be leaders. I don't know that they all follow that creed, but they should. And that's the idea. And what is a leader? A servant leader is the kind of person that only sees their success whenever they see other people succeed. And one quick snippet on that, and then I'll wrap on that part. But I just wanted to drive that point home because I want people to understand if I have a guest in here, you know, I'm not driving their campaign. I am talking about the individual, and I want that person to be authentic and real. And that's what you've done. And that's why I fell in love with you immediately when you started talking. I'm like, everything he's saying is from the heart, and I can smell that. It's just, I've been a firefighter paramedic in Memphis for almost 20 years, and I can see it a long ways off.
It's easy to identify.
It's real simple for me. I know it's not everybody's sniffometer, but it's pretty good on mine, and I could just tell you were real and authentic, and I think that's important, and that bleeds through. And when people get a chance to get to know their city leaders, well, they'll either know that they voted the right way, or maybe they need to change direction and stop just voting along a party line. Vote along the individual, because the individual is the one that's representing you, not a party line. And that's one of the things that always drove me crazy when I talk to my friends now, and they're older. I'm just like, dude, stop getting caught up in what your affiliation has been over the years. Find out the person that's impacting you and vote for that individual for the right reasons, not the wrong reasons. And that's what I try to do. And so I'm just going to say this. I'm glad, I'm blessed that you're in DeSoto County. I hate that you're not a part of Hernando. But who is our guy? Who's our guy down here? And I'm embarrassed to say that.
So Doc Harris is your representative.
Doc Harris, okay, that's our representative.
He's a freshman with me. He brought a ton of experience. Of course, he was alderman at large in Hernando before.
That's how I knew him.
Yep. And man, I tell you, Doc, he's one of my favorites, man. I spend a lot of time either when I'm doing, I call it windshield time, driving down to Jackson, calling him, talking to him, or even talking with him in the Capitol. Doc, he is a strong and calm hand down there, and he's been good for DeSoto County. So it's been a blessing to work with him.
His daughter was my daughter's teacher at some point. I can't remember what year it was. I don't know if she was second grade, third grade. I can't remember.
Man, he's just an all-around good fellow. He really is.
So I will say he is. I've never had a chance to meet him. He has an open seat here if he wants to come in and talk. But
I'm going to let him know.
Let him know. Come on in here and talk about it. But I do know of his daughter. And look, if the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, I know he's a great guy because I know she was a great person, had a big impact on my daughter's life. I could talk to you all day. Representative Hall, which is also Army Ranger and all things in between, father, husband, and great person. And one last thing before we leave out of here, because I want you to just leave your thoughts, your ideas. At the end of a show, I want my guests to be able to share that moment that is on their heart, their mind, anything you want to say to my viewers, listeners, and just know that it's not just DeSoto County. This is something that's an impactful message to everybody all around the world. Literally, we're in over 60 countries, by the way. Pat on myself. No, it's really him and then this, because it ain't me.
Nice. One thing that had just kind of stuck with me, at least on the back part of this, as we were talking about the challenges or the change of going into politics. The National Guard, you're afforded a very unique foxhole or perspective, right? Because you have some guys that are full active duty in the National Guard, and you have a lot of guys like me that are part-time soldiers, and then also have a civilian job. And so I've, even though I'm approaching 21 years of service, about 11 of those years have been active duty. So I spent a lot of time just doing full-time Army, to include deployments and training and all the such. But one thing that has just always stuck with me in the military is you don't hoard work, you don't hoard opportunity, you don't hoard things that will either move you or move your team forward. It's all a team. And when you look at our community, we're a team. Like, we're going to rise or fall together. I don't care how you put it. Even as a state, and DeSoto County is leading the way in many different areas, but if we don't find a way to fix the Delta, Mississippi's still going to be last in a lot of categories. And so we're a team. And so much I see in the civilian workforce is hoard, mine. This is my foxhole, get out of here, don't play in my sandbox. Well, in the military, you flip it. You're always trying to work yourself out of a job. The people up under you, the people that you mentor, the people that you rate or that you are their superior, your subordinates, you are always trying to train them and to build them up so that when your time is gone and it's time for you to go somewhere else or hang it up, that they can step in and fill that role, and it's not skipping a beat. Yeah. And so I'm always trying to find who's that next talent, who's that next person, who has the same drive and motivation, who has the passion to do what I'm doing, and how can I help them get on that path to do it. I got another fellow, Cole Tacker. Man, I came across Cole Tacker, and he worked on my campaign, and that kid, he just had a motor, man. And we kept in contact. I sent him up to Washington. He interned for Congressman Trent Kelly. He ended up getting a job on the Hill, graduated from Ole Miss, and, he's from Olive Branch, came back, and now he is the district rep for Congressman Kelly in Hernando. So you'll see him down there on the square representing Congressman Kelly for DeSoto County. And, just to see him grow and develop, man, that is a joy. That's the story. That's your legacy. That's right. Not just your family, not how much money that you can't take it with you, but the story, the people that you impact, the life that you live, and the effects that have on other people when you're gone. That is your legacy, and that's what you should be trying to build. How are you going to make this place better? That's right. How are you making other people better? And so I just encourage other people to look at their community like that. That's a true heart of a servant leader, is the individual that is trying to be the best version of themselves, but not so much in a way that other people are looking at them and they're thinking, hey, look how great I am. It's, look, I'm doing these things because I'm trying to help you get to be where you need to be. I've always said the person climbing the ladder should be looking back, trying to pull the next person up. Because at some point, like we said earlier in this broadcast, you run out. You're going to vapor out. You need to push somebody up that goes higher, bigger, better, faster. All of the above. Amen. Look, I've enjoyed having you in. We'll definitely have you back down the road. We got some big things coming up in DeSoto County that I know of, and I think you might be part of it. That's all the teaser right there. And I can't wait. I got a teaser. That's all I'm going to say. Hope Center's got some big ideas, and I'm just going to leave it on the table like that. Let's make it happen. It's going to be awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing where you go next, what you do, and DeSoto County is very blessed to have you, sir. Thank you, Coach. And it's good to be able to call you a friend now. I'm looking forward to many more conversations. Absolutely. We're going to motivate a lot together. I hope so, man. That's my goal, baby. That's what I'm trying to do. Hey, folks, thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. I love the fact that y'all tune in, you correspond with me. This really is this is all about you. For me, my guests coming in, sharing their story, hopefully is inspiring you guys to go out there and be the best version of yourself. I'm going to ask you, please, at this time, go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com, subscribe to my YouTube, and until next time, Coach Camp out. I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some